Hi, everybody. Hello and welcome. I'm
Welcome.
I'm Attorney Carlene, and today we have Ed with us, and we're going to talk about a very, very important subject. I know that a lot of you are all excited because you're probably watching the soccer game, and I know that some people want Argentina to win, some people want England to win. Who do you want to win?
I don't know.
Yeah.
My grandparents are from Italy, so I'm pro Italy.
All right, so I'm not sure yet where who I want to win. I have a lot of friends from Argentina, but then again, I have a little bit of loyalty to England. We'll talk about that later. But so we'll see. May the best team win. So today we're going to talk about how a criminal record can affect your immigration case. So let me start with one question. Have you ever been arrested? Have you ever received a citation? Have you gone to criminal court? Have you accepted a plea agreement or had a case that was later dismissed? A lot of people think, my case was dismissed, so immigration will never know about it. Or that happened so many years ago, so it doesn't really matter. Let's talk about this.
Well, even a criminal case that seems small can create serious immigration problems. I've had clients that have had a lot of parking tickets that have got them in a lot of trouble. In fact, in one case in particular, that person actually lost his legal residence, his opportunity for legal residence because of that. So it may affect your green card. It could affect your citizenship. It can affect your ability to return to the United States or even your ability to remain in the United States. So stay with me until the end because we've got a lot of really important information for you that we need you to know. I don't want you to get into trouble. So later in this live, I'm going to explain one of the biggest mistakes that people make after an arrest. And sometimes that mistake can create a bigger problem than the original criminal case. So before we begin, please remember that this is general information. Every case is different. We're not your attorney. This is for educational purposes, for purposes only. And criminal law and immigration law, they're very complicated, difficult, but they don't always look at a case in the same way. So two people may have charges that sound almost identical, but the immigration results can be completely different. So the answer may depend on the exact criminal law, the plea, the sentence, the person's immigration history, and the immigration benefit that they're applying for. It is complicated. And that's why I thank you for listening to us because we try to help you and try to explain and try to help you through the process. So please don't assume that your case is safe just because someone you know had a similar case and was approved. No,
Right. And an arrest is not always the same as a conviction, right?
that's true.
So let's start with something very important. An arrest is not automatically the same as a conviction. So a person may be arrested and then the prosecutor may decide not to file charges.
I've seen that before.
Sure, and the case may be also dismissed. So, or the person may complete a diversion program, probation, classes, community service, or another court requirement. Each one of those outcomes may affect immigration differently.
Hmm.
Listen to this. But here's where people often make a mistake. They think, if I was not convicted, I do not have to mention it. That may not be correct. Immigration forms may ask whether you have ever been arrested, cited, charged, or convicted. They do not always ask whether you went to jail or not. So even if the case was dismissed, it is important to get the records and speak with an immigration attorney before you file anything.
That's true. I had a client one time who actually had his case, his criminal case, sealed. Expunged is the word. No one's supposed to know about it. Well, you know what? The government knew about it.
Sure.
So you have to be careful. And he got in trouble for lying about it. He even lied about it to me. I didn't even know about it. And he got into trouble because he didn't disclose what he was supposed to disclose. Always be honest with your attorney. Let
Yeah,
them
that
know.
that's so important.
And if you have that sealed record, it's not a sealed record
Sure.
for employment purposes, perhaps, but it's not sealed for immigration purposes.
That's
They
important.
are so smart. They are very smart. The judges are smart. The people who work there are smart, and they are very good investigators. They will check out. I'll tell you a story later on about that. But they do their research. They do their investigations very, very thoroughly. So be careful. Be honest.
Before we continue, please subscribe to our channel.
Yeah.
We explain important immigration issues in simple language so that
Yeah.
you can understand your rights and avoid mistakes. So share this video with someone who has had an arrest or a criminal case or an immigration case. And if you need help reviewing your criminal or immigration history, contact our office before you submit your application.
Because it's complicated. It's not easy. And we'll go through with you. So at least you know where you stand. So what does immigration actually consider a conviction? What's a conviction according to immigration rules? Well, now it gets a little technical, but now let's talk about something that caused a lot of confusion because many people say, I never went to jail, so I was never convicted, right? But for immigration purposes, that may not be true. Immigration law has its own definition of a conviction. For example, if you pleaded guilty or no contest and the judge ordered probation or classes or fines, community service, or another form of punishment, immigration may still consider that a conviction, and that could hurt your case. So even if you didn't spend one day in jail, this is why it's so important to speak with an immigration attorney before accepting a plea agreement in criminal court. See, a lot of people they'll just take the agreement. Don't do it that way. That's going to hurt you. Have someone look at this. Have an attorney look at this. A plea that looks good in criminal court may be very harmful for immigration. So, criminal defense attorney may say, "Oh, this is a good deal because you don't have to go to jail," and that may be true from the criminal side. But avoiding jail does not always mean avoiding immigration consequences. So the person may still have problems with a green card citizenship, with travel or deportation. And I can't tell you how many times our judges that I've been through before a lot of different judges, they get really mad even if the case was dismissed. It has to be completely dismissed before they don't look at it.
That's right.
Anything other than that, they're going to look at it and
That's
they're
right.
not going to be happy and they get very mad. So have it looked at carefully.
So, what types of crimes can cause immigration problems? There may be different types of criminal cases that may create different immigration concerns. So, that doesn't mean that every person with one of these charges will be deported. It means that the case needs to be reviewed carefully. Immigration may pay close attention to crimes involving drugs, domestic violence, firearms, theft, fraud, children, and certain crimes involving dishonesty. Then there's also crimes that immigration law calls aggravated felonies, and that term can be very confusing. A crime doesn't always have to be called a felony under state law to be treated as an aggravated felony under immigration law. The immigration definition is totally different, and that is why it's not enough to tell your attorney, I had a theft case. Your attorney needs to know the exact charge, the exact law, the final result, and the sentence. The documents do matter.
Yeah.
Very important.
And the circumstances also matter. You would be surprised. So I had a client a number of years ago, no name, nothing to identify him with. And what did he do? He was working at a construction site and he went for a ride with some of the other fellows from work and they got pulled over. It was a traffic light incident. And what happened? The officer noticed that there was an unusual bag underneath one of the seats, and everyone had to get out of the car. And what happened? They looked and they found that there were drugs in that bag. You know that my client got charged with possession of drugs. He never this person didn't even drink. He was a good guy, and he got himself in a lot of trouble. And so you don't want to be in that position. So if you have family, friends, children, you make sure that who they hang out with, who they take rides with, who they travel with, they have to be very careful.